Hello friends, welcome to the bench. So today I have the story about the St. George Lancer amp, and this is a really cool amplifier that I've had for a really long time, and I've got a neat little story behind it. I do have the schematic. It is an incredibly simple design. A couple of preamp tubes, a couple of power tubes, and a rectifier tube. Super simple design, but this amp has a very, very beautiful tone to it. And I love this amp. It's got a neat vibe, and it's crisp and clean and compressed. And the story behind the St. George is that George Massey from Massey Electronics was somehow connected to or appear in the same peer group as Leo Fender back in the day. And one of the rumors is that George Massey and Leo Fender worked together to design a company, and the two of them separated, and Leo Fender went on to do Fender, and George Massey went on to build amps at St. George Amplifiers. St. George Amplifiers. So when I looked it up on AI told me something different, and that they never were connected like that. That they were kind of just, they came up at the same time in the same groups and in the same genre of amplifiers. And it just so happens that these St. George amps are pretty highly sought after. They're very collectible. This head I made from a combo. As you can see, that the chassis is kind of in a funny position where the back of the chassis is up on the top now, so it's not very convenient, and that's kind of bad. So as far as this goes, it's got a bass channel and an electric guitar channel, and it's got ground, standby, and power. The ground switch is lifted right now because it's got current grounding. And although there's something with this cable I need to take a look at now that I'm sitting here. It's great sounding amp, and the story for me is that a long time ago, a friend of mine gave me an amp that he had taken from his grandma's attic. Grandma passed away, and gave him this old amp. And I worked with him in Denver, and he said, "Hey, do you want this amp?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And he brought it to work, and he gave it to me, and it was a big box, and was really heavy, and it had a big leather handle on it. And of course, this was the chassis, and the speaker was completely blown out, ripped out, gone. There was no cover on this, over the speaker at all, and the amp did not work. So I took it, and maybe a year later, I had some friends of mine that worked on our amps for my band in Denver, 50’s Music. They did a revamp on this thing and made it sound amazing. And it was still in the combo, of course. I didn't use the speaker. I ran the external speaker on here. And they did a great job. This amp sounded so precious for several years, and then I let it fall by the wayside, and took some parts out, and was cannibalizing it, but I hung on to the chassis. And finally, Aaron from Go Records in Spokane helped me retube it and got it going again, and that's kind of what sparked my love on learning how to do tube amp work, was that Aaron got this running for me, and I said to myself, well, I'm gonna put it in a head, and I'm gonna figure out what this means. And this is a really cool design, although this is a very, very simple schematic compared to what is actually laid out in the amp. But this is, in essence, this is what it is. And here it's called the Lancer, but on the schematic it's called the 363 is called the El Basso. So one other thing about it too is that the combo itself has a couple of wires coming out for the 8 ohm speaker, and this is an 8 ohm output is what it shows here, but it also features on top of the speaker an external speaker jack, and I always wondered how that would alter the ohms or the output transformer on this amp if someone was to just suddenly start plugging cabinets into the external speaker jack. And so I've never done it. I've only used one or the other. I've only ever used just the wires for an 8 ohm, or I've used just this as an 8 ohm. I have on other occasions both plugged 2 instruments into this at the same time, and you do see that each section of the preamp tube is being used individually and being powered individually. So upon entry, there's 2 separate channels coming through the tube, both sides. So it's it's very, very clean, very compressed, and I'll do a little sound demo here for it. But I just wanted to talk about the Lancer St. George and the story behind Massey and Fender, and maybe that's why these amps are kind of sought after, is because of the story, the unknown story behind Massey and Leo Fender. It does say this was made in Los Angeles, and I believe these amps are like from the mid 50s, late 50s, early 60s, and I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe the output on this thing is 20 watts max, but this thing actually is very loud. It's extremely loud the way I have it now, and I don't want to ever do anything to it besides leave it the cleanest that I can keep it, and thought I'd show this off a little bit. So enjoy the Lancer St. George. Okay, here's a little sound demo of the Lancer St. George, and we're all set up, ready to go. So I'm running through the Madison 8 ohm cabinet, which has got Celestion 75 watts in it, and here you go.